you know, sometimes just things don't work out. The best laid plans, they just don't work out. And so I put up a Nerf for this weekend. It was actually a really cool park, and I was going to play some wide area play, but this is what happened when I got there. Hi there, this is Chris Cartaya, and this is Gilman Park in Fullerton, and the twigs are attacking me. Okay, so this is a big park, big trench. It kind of reminds me of a lot of those parks in San Diego, which are trenches. As a matter of fact, I saw my first airsoft war at a park in San Diego. It was a lot like this. And I've always wanted to do a war at a park like this. You want to know why? Because you can play long range versus long range. You have your team start there, your team start way back there. Rules are, you can't go past halfway up the hill, can't go to the creek halfway to the hill for two reasons. One, not to bug the neighbors, the neighborhood, and two, because a lot of people's property lines stretch beyond the fence lines. I know that from living by a hillside house myself. So this is to keep, darts out of the creek, and also because this is enough area to play in. You got a nice tree line to fight in right here. You got hills to fight in right here between that and there. But only one problem. So far, it's past 12, and I'm the only one here. The only one here. I put up this event like 2.5 weeks ago. I'm the only one here. It's so sad. Yeah. But, I knew someone who was going to show up late because he always shows up late because he's got kids and family, he works and everything. He actually showed up, and then another one of my friends, actually the guy who makes possibly one of the most revolutionary stuff out there, a blaster that he made by hand, and of course the Lego DEI Accurato rifling in it, he showed up. But by that time I was out of there. Half hour grace was done. Nobody showed up. People were looking at me strange. They had this guitar case with Big Blue inside of it. And, well, boy, I just was like, I'm just going to go get a drink or 6 and forget about the sadness. I felt a little rejected. I did. I didn't feel that good. And then I knew 3 people weren't going to show up. Okay, a guy who just hurt his foot. Another friend of mine, but they all said, but everyone else, I had like 6 goings. What happened? Just nobody showed up. It was pretty sad. But here I am today, back on the rebound and everything. But I did get to spend time with my friend Alan, and his son made this. His son. Okay, so all Alan did was mask it, so you can have the black and the red. But check this out. I got bested by a kid in paint. I'm not kidding. I'm not the best painter in the world, but dude, this kid made just a killer paint job. Check this out. Check this out. This is a blaster Micah made. Okay, look at the lines. Look at the finish. He got help taping this off. OC Nerf helped him with that. Now get my blaster. Go get my blaster. Okay, I gotta show you this because the kid is actually a better painter than I am. And you can see mine. You can see, yeah, I'm not the greatest painter in the world. Look at that. It's a nice looking blaster. I'm not going for looks with Big Blue. I never have. But look at the difference. A kid is a better painter than me. And look how, wow. He is a smart kid. And he has got a really good future. I'm proud of him now. I really am. Yeah. I really am proud of him. And this is just incredible, incredible work. So, off the next story, shall we? So, at any rate, welcome to Season 2, Episode 31 of Nerf News the Owl Ranch. I am your host, Chris Cartaya. And I haven't only been able to do like one a week lately. I've just been so busy, just so swamped, just so everything. This week we got a lot of cool stuff. One of the sad things, and it just keeps getting sadder, and I'm not doing this on purpose, guys, but even worker fans are starting to say, dude, the Terminator sucks. And we're talking people that use worker stuff, that like worker stuff, that like the nice, cheap worker stuff, okay? The nice, cheap darts, the nice, cheap parts, this and that. Some of it is actually pretty cool, yeah, but, I like the polycarbonate tubes on the Rets and the plunger rods. I think that these are pretty tough, because everywhere else, they're ABS. These are actually, yeah, pretty tough pretty tough rods, and I like the availability of the enlarged tubes, a few other things. So, although I do talk about Worker and how much I don't like them, and I don't like their business practice, and I don't like them stealing stuff and everything else, I have to admit it, guys. It's a huge disappointment with the Terminator kit. Jet Blasters ending up where they did with this, and not making other colors, and actually pretty much just discontinuing it entirely, was a disappointment. And I was really hoping that another company would make another shell at some point, and would give us more options when it comes to long shot shells. Long shots are great platforms. They really are. A lot of good aftermarket parts are made off of long shots. A lot of tricks are based on long shots. I think a caliber just can't answer. Sure, it can answer in speed, but when it comes to accuracy, tactical playability, not as much. I mean, for 200, 300 feet per second is great, but I don't know. I've always just liked the long shot, to be honest with you. I've never liked that long draw pull, at 6 and 3/4, 7-inch draw. I never liked the fact it was 3D printed. A lot of us don't. Or a lot of us that have, like, calibers, they also have long shots, too. Because they are good blasters. But, what was said about this test with Worker Terminator, it was very disappointing. Bradley Phillips actually showed us this video on one of our chat rooms, and I gotta say it was an eye opener, to say the least. So CJ Aussie Nerfer did this video, and he was talking about the Worker Terminator, and I already knew, like, just from seeing it before anybody even got one, that the prime was going to be wrong, because I had designed a very similar. Just to go back a few episodes, I designed a very similar prime system, and I needed two things: no bolt sled, and I needed two bobbins, and those rods on top had to be like 1/4-inch steel, okay, really strong. And then even then, I was gonna have a track system up there because I needed it. Well, they got their hands on one, and there was a problem with it, not just the priming, but something else that came up that was quite interesting. And I've heard about it before with other people getting them and them having problems with the screw ports. But here they explain that, yeah, and these guys like Worker. And an Aussie is never going to tell you wrong. Aussies are honest, good, kind people. They will honestly tell you what's what. They're not going to bullshit you. I have not known one Aussie who ever really has, because they are very honest about their craft and they're very honest about what they do, especially in the Nerf community. I've never had it. So check this out.
I love Worker. They make a whole bunch of really cool stuff that is very cheap. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're doing the hobby a favor in some ways. So I'm going to buy some.
In some ways, I guess that's a good way to say it.
This thing is hot garbage.
Hot garbage, man.
From what CJ said about how he's dealt with this thing to make it actually prime at all, and the kinds of gymnastics you need to do to continue to make it prime, not good. The long shot that he's got, aside from this one, 16 kilos, this one's 16 kilos. The other one, primes like a dream, like you would imagine. 16 kilos is not a lot.
It's not.
Unless you're
and it's a Warren 16 on top of that.
RIP in peace. This, about 8 times harder than prime.
Yeah.
With the same spring rate.
Now, do keep in mind as well that when I received this blaster, there was no instructions given at all.
Don't tell us to lube this, don't anything. Exactly.
Not Dean's fault at all, which is Blaster Tech who I brought it from. Worker did not send the instructions at all to me as to, that I had to lubricate this thing to the devil.
You have to lubricate this like an old woman.
Just
yeah,
to make
it's
this
not.
thing prime.
It's not good.
Now, believe it or not, the actual rain helped it prime a little bit.
Give it a little more moisture. Yeah.
With the lubricant.
But they had one other really bad problem. And I can play this whole thing. I want you guys to see it because he doesn't have that many subs and he doesn't have many reviews. And it was a very good review. And I've looked at a few other videos and they are actually very... they got a good channel going here, the nice dark background with the contrast and everything else, and the book. This is actually a good place to shoot right here. I see too many people using like plain white walls or plain beige walls or whatever. I try to put stuff behind me because it makes you pop out more. It's 3-dimensional. This is here, that is there, that is there. That's kind of why I like doing the news here. But this is a good set to do this. Also, he pointed out that this screw boss broke on this. I'm not kidding. So what happens is, you see, you have a slot in here that when you're pulling back on the trigger, and Big Blue's got like an 8-pound trigger because it's running 28K. It's running a metal trigger, and it has this to line up. If you lose this screw, or this area where the screw boss is supposed to be, it'll snap, it'll break, and this won't be straight. So when you try to do that, it will yaw, okay? And I have never seen that happen on a long shot. I've seen one where someone's like grinded one accidentally, and they needed to get a new shell. This was on a Zeus. They grinded it. They grinded that one area, that square, so they could fit an artifact trigger, and they grinded the screw boss, okay? And they just got another one. They were like, oh, you know. But it was their mistake. They did it, yeah. But nonetheless, I know that can happen because he did that, and he was running, I think he was running 16 turf as well, and it just broke. I mean, if this breaks, forget it. Especially with this trigger way down here, the shoe way down here, and nothing supporting it down here. Yeah, well, like on your normal triggers, this is supporting it. So on this trigger, okay, so one thing you might want to try, CG, you might want to just stick a normal trigger in it to replace it. Why? Because your normal triggers have this guide to replace it down here. And what that does is it makes it so it guides the bottom. The other thing I would do is I would just get like a number 12 screw, and I would just screw that in there, man. I would just put another screw in there and guide it from there. So if you got guide here and guide here, you can fix it. But I don't think they want to fix it after this experience that they had. Another thing was this magazine. So if you take your worker magazine, you go back and up, it will work. But if you try to put it in there real quick, it won't, because there's no flanging. They have a hard time with this. Now, of course, with Talamag, which I think that this is made to promote more of the Talamag kind of usage. Of course, you don't have to worry about it. It's another Magwell. Everybody loves the Talons. Yay, wonderful, great. Yeah. Would have never made them if I didn't make these. But, you know, hey, great, wonderful. They're wonderful. Yeah. That's worker for you. Yeah, then it has no problem, you know. He also brought up the sling point and how it just doesn't, it's not big enough to actually hook around it. Now you can see I have a couple of sling points on Big Blue, but that's really more to hold it down. But I can use these sling points if I wanted to, sure. And I used ones that were quick release ratchet ones, because that chain get in the way. That was one thing I didn't like about slings. Oh, yeah. So I got a really good one from Black Tactical when I was in Singapore. A real nice one. And it is a big issue. That thing clanking around. Plus, it's like metal buckle against plastic. You're bending it, you're stretching it, everything else. I saw one guy in Singapore, he actually used the sling points on a long shot, and he zip ties and then put the hook on there. And I thought that was really inventive way of doing it. You know, because most people try to just hook it directly, and they end up wrecking their long shot. But in anywho, yeah, just bad news, how it's hot garbage. And, you know, I think these are still sold out at Jet. And not only that, they never made a clear one. They never made color ones. I think them and Explorer could never get along, because there was an agreement between Jet and Explorer that a certain amount of money went to Jet and a certain amount of money went to Explorer, and certain things weren't allowed to be changed. And that was a problem. So this is where co-collaboration can really bite you in the ass, when you see, you're seeing the market and you see it change. You know, also they pointed out that this, you see how the level indicators is not one of those nice worker products I actually like. This little level changer right here, that it needs to be up that high or it shoots downwards. Well, mine does too. If you notice that my scope is like that, or it will just shoot like 2 degrees down. Like a lot of blasters, especially when you go longer barrel, for some reason, it's like that. And a lot of that is harmonics, like you saw with Boomtendo, but a lot of that is just the way darts behave. Like, they're not going to go flat out on a long barrel stuff. They're going to go like that. So, yeah, that's very common that happens. But I'm really sad, and I hope that this doesn't discourage other people from coming up with a long shot design. But this is a great video. This was a really good find. I mean, Bradley Phillips showed us on one of the Facebook Messenger accounts, the one that Turf used to be Turf Springs, and I was really impressed. So thanks Bradley for showing this. It's your scoop. You showed me this, and I was like, wow, these guys really cool guys. Straightforward, good content. Their video isn't half bad, and they're honest, like I try to be. And I really think you guys should give CJ Aussie Nerfer a subscribe and a look, because I think they got a good channel. And I'm always trying to show you new channels, and good ones are unappreciated. Especially in this day and age where you got to have 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours in order to get monetization. And when you do, it's like $1 an episode of Owl Ranch, or I think I'm doing like $12 a month or whatever. It's not much, but it does help. I mean, I got the new stage lights on the mic, for example. It helps. My friend traded me a Chronos commission for that, but I always knew, okay, well, I can always pay him back with that money, and normally I couldn't do that. And I can also use that money for other things, maybe go into other wars, maybe go to other stuff. So really, it helps a lot if you subscribe, and I can't emphasize that enough. Even if you don't watch them, you should subscribe, simply because of the barbaric nature of YouTube, to be honest. But even when you get it, it's not that much. I can't believe I almost forgot one thing, one really cool thing. I was watching this documentary on Harold Lloyd Wright, who did the Harold Lloyd houses up in Hollywood, Pasadena, the whole area. Go check out this documentary, because very interesting story, deep about architecture, about those houses that were built off those Mayan Egyptian kind of bricks and everything. I didn't really think, there was that interest, but it was actually very interesting. I actually got a package. James Saylor, these are the CFC dart heads. He's been doing some dart heads and making some tooling and making a brand new dart design for Nerf blasters. And let's give this an open, shall we? Yeah. Oh, they are right there. Look at that. Take a look. Whoa, these are nice quality. He gave me these, from what he told me, they were out of different batches. There's a letter in here, too. Okay. Containing this box are some randomly selected, I remember him saying that at one point. CFC heads from the recent batches. They should be a fair indication of quality of production heads. The only flaw I noticed was small air bubbles at the base of the heads. Without degaussing, I don't believe there's anything which can be done about this. I calculated the weight for these heads of 1.046 grams. So nice, good, heavy darts. 10 millimeter diameter, 3/8 lengths, and have a radius of 3/16. The stems are 1/4 inch diameter by 3/8 lengths. Anyone interested can contact him at jamessaylornerfworks@gmail.com. They'll need to cover material. It should be cost plus labor charge and appropriate for the number of heads made. A trial size of Moldstar 30 is around $40. The operation I'm running, I can provide 500 heads for one trial size unit at a cost of $25 for the labor. This gives a cost per head about $13 plus shipping. That isn't bad. That isn't really bad. To give me an honest opinion on the heads, I'd like to produce the best quality product possible. Best regards, James Saylor. So this is a guy who I have been working with on developing dart heads, and there they are, right there. Yeah, they look really cool. They're long. The foam may be a little short. You may have to cut them a little longer if you have like an alpha breach, because you do have a distance in there you have to keep. So, but luckily, like the worker darts are 38 millimeters. You can probably go 38 millimeters on that and have this design, but they should have a pretty good ballistic coefficient, and it gives you a pretty good design. As for the air bubbles, I mean, look at that. It's still pretty nice finish. See, I don't see really that many air bubbles. I look at a few, like, okay, like little ones like that. They're very tiny. But like most people, and compared to like rubber heads, these are probably a world better. But I don't really see that. No, this looks really great. I mean, and put in mind that I think this is his first attempt at making these dart heads and making silicone dart heads. I've never seen such a nice first attempt. Wow. Wait, we got some foam. Let's get some foam. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, so look at that. So can you imagine having something like this flying through the air? That'd be really cool. So if you had like, the very edge of the katana mag would be about that length, or like a talon mag would probably work really well with these. And, oh yeah. And of course, certain breaches will like them better than others, just like certain breaches like the Pac-D's better than others, and certain breaches like the worker heads better than others. I mean, like my blasters, I hate worker heads, for example, but it's really cool. I expressed that, many different sizes, lengths. He wants to use a heavier silicone, possibly. That would give you like a heavier weight. So if you had really, how you go into a golf ball shop and there's all these different sizes of golf balls? It'd be really good to have that for silicone heads, but of course we need that many customers to do that. But fortunately, I think that the demand is going up for the quality of the darts and darts head. And I mean, these look really spectacular. I've gotten some dart heads before. These were ones that Darian Finney made. These are what I call the flying ashtrays, because they're very heavy. They're like 1.7 grams because it's made out of a real kind of a hard cornstarch kind of a silicone, and it has a really long tail to them. And he gave me these, all the custom ones he made for one arm. Again, I still have like a bunch of these, yeah. And these are really cool for like long range shooting, and when you want to really test the weight of the dart. As where these are 38. The other nice thing about this I like is they're softer. They're a lot softer, but they are going to take some prototype work and things like that to really button down a perfect design. I like the fact that they're a little farther up from the Pacties. Like you're using the base dimension and you're making them slightly longer, so that you can actually have a smaller bit of foam and have less drag, or you can have it longer and fit in something like a Talon mag and have more stability. So I like this. This is really cool. And gosh, you know, I mean, I can't find these anywhere. I asked Diana Junie for a bunch of these, and I couldn't find them. Plus, the Pacties are a little on the hard side. These are a little bit more like the softness. Like you can see that, like that's 38 silicone. A little bit more of the softness of a rubber head dart. And as darts get faster and blasters get faster, it's nice to have something that's a little softer. So I'm going to glue a bunch of these and test them out. Yeah, I snuck a few out of the package the other day. Me and Alan were testing them, and there were certain blasters that did really well with them. There were certain blasters that had some issues with the jamming with the longer head and this and that. Especially the ones that the breech tends to dive down and go like so. But I'm thinking that can be worked out, and I'm thinking that, you know, it's just like any dart design that certain blasters will love them and certain ones won't. I think a Bird of Prey will love them, because a single loader like that, or a Chronomag where it just has a straight breech, yeah, I think they will love them. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Also, Alan Turbino, he's ordering 100 of these to try out, so we'll see. There is hope for Silicone. I'm glad, because they don't make the Pacties anymore, which is sad. I guess Jet's going to make some kind of version of the Pacty, but I've yet to see it. I keep hearing about it, but I've yet to see it. And also, another friend of mine, Jason Smith, is making some silicone heads with the gaps on them, just like the worker head. So it combines like the aerodynamics of a cone-headed dart, but it has the stabilization of the worker darts that uses that one gap in between to stabilize it. We'll see. And we'll see how these do. You know what I mean? We'll see how all three of these compare with each other. I'm waiting for Jason's dart to come in so I can compare them to, and then I'm going to do a really good video comparing the three darts. And I think every dart has their strengths and weaknesses, but it's just a really good direction. And I thank you for sending these. I'm going to glue these up this week, and I'm going to wait for Jason's darts, and I'm going to fire these a few, and I'll let you know how they are. I shot a few with the Bird of Prey. It did really good. They went about just as far as the Pacties. So the aerodynamics are definitely there. Alan saw a little bit with the feeding. I didn't see any issue with the feeding, other than the fact that first few of these that I had made and cut, I made the darts just a little too short. That's why I advised to go 38 millimeters instead of 36. But that's fixable, especially if you're using a Talon mag where you have more distance. That's fixable. No big deal. It's just that I always cut mine to 36. But that's an issue with the Alpha Kit, period. Like if you were to go to 30 millimeter darts, it actually will seat behind where the opening of the dart chamber is, because a dart chamber on an Alpha breech. Because the dart chamber on an Alpha breech is this long, so naturally you have to make it about right here. And the darts I made them just a little too short to where this little empty chamber in here was just in there. But that's nothing I can't get around. That's just, again, you get a new dart, you play with it. You know what I mean? But I think that this is, I snuck about 5 or 6 of these out and made a few darts, and they do pretty good. So, but I'm gonna wait to do the real showdown comparison to when I have all of them, and I do the video. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I was really down this morning. I almost didn't even do an Owl Ranch. I was almost like, okay, let's do one on Monday. But I was like, no, let's shoot it today and then finish it up tomorrow morning, because this really made my day. I'm not sure if after yesterday that I could have done an Owl Ranch. And I will tell you, yesterday was kind of like, I didn't advertise on the Scoon page. I advertised on my own page. Because, you know, Death by Nerf Blaster has so many people, but at the same time, and it was just a lot of people, a lot of stuff coming up, and I understand that. But it was still a very disappointing letdown. Nerf EZE, I mean, is coming up with, we would think if he can make an automatic long shot, he can do a lot with the Stampy. And everybody knows the new Nerf Icon series Stampy's coming up. Well, Nerf EZE is on it, man. He's got a pusher design, he's got a gate design, he's got that nice over carry on the gate that will hold it. That's really good design. He is tackling for the Stampede. We saw a few weeks back when he made that SLS nylon plunger rod for the Stampede. Well, now he's making a pretty nice seal breach kit for it. I'm hoping it can do 200, because if it can do 200 feet per second, running on like a 4S lipo or something, that would be really cool. And put in mind that a Stampede is spring powered. It's mainspring. It uses basically the same kind of propulsion system that like a Night Finder would. Very similar. Get out of here, Nat. Get up. Shoot. Okay. So, at any rate, he's really, making some very, very cool stuff. So all over his page, Nerf EZE on Facebook. Give it a look. All sorts of really cool things he's working on. He's working on a breach, some AR removal. As you can see, lots of really cool stuff. He's been working on his new system. He's got a prototype going on. I think they're going to use the normal monkey mod barrels like they did before, as you can see, which would be pretty good. I mean, if you had to push them, I think that's a really good system to use on a Stampy. That would work really cool. So I'm really hoping that this comes up, because everybody, Stampede is possibly, and I love Springers, but it's always been the one that I'm just kind of like, hey. You know what I mean? And especially in the day and age of flywheels and everything, where you have so much competition, where back when the Stampede was made, it was this of the Vulcan and everybody loved this. Well, nowadays you got flywheel blasters or just kick butt. You know, I get a Strife kit. I can get a three-way selector kit for it. It's pretty cool. Like Alan was showing me his Strife with and his best function he likes. It's not semi or full auto. It's the burst fire, the three-way fire. The brum brum brum. You know, brip brip brip. Yeah, and it does. It's like brip brip brip, like each trigger pull, and that's really cool. So if there's anybody here that can really answer that call, I think it's Nerf EZE. So it's like I said, he's one to watch, and for him to go for a Stampy, it's like, I should have known he would. I should have known he'd go for it, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna do it. I'm sure he's gonna do a really great job. Here's the first barrel. Now, of course, you know barrels on a Stampede are smaller. Why? Because your air volume in your plunger starting out is about 35, 40 cc's. It's not that much, so you need a shorter barrel. And yeah, he's got this whole thing going, and wow, yeah. So I can't wait to see this, a Stampede kit. And if it's reasonably priced, I might just get one, because, you know, I've always dreamed of having a good steel breech Stampede. The one person who ever really pulled it off, in my opinion, was Ninja Hang from Explorer. He used to be very good with Stampedes. Now, of course, his Stampedes didn't go very fast. They were maybe 130, 140 feet per second. But this was 134, 140 feet per second in like 2013. So that was pretty impressive. You had this full auto that went, of course, the more power you give it, the faster the motor goes. And it was before Metal Gears. It was before a lot of things. And he made it. And of course, he made the X-Burst based largely on a Stampede. That's his own. It has a smaller amount of draw, like 2 inches of draw, to do that. Which I saw one catastrophically break at a war, my last war in Singapore. So, yeah. So as you can see, I really think it'd be really cool if he got this. He got his shit together with this. Because if he got all our shit together with Stampede, it'd be like, whoo. And we all know Nerf EZE has his shit together. We've seen what he's done lately. Yeah. And I am quite impressed. The one thing I like about AK Blaster mods is that they finally realized what so many companies did not realize. That, you know what? All these blasters Nerf made are on the same kind of firing system. The retaliator firing system. It's all the same, just a little different. The Tri-Strike is pretty much a Retaliator. It's just different. The new Long Strike, the Modulus Long Strike is. The new the Recon MK2, the Retaliators, the Rampage, the Mediator. They're all pretty much Retaliators, just a little different here and there. And I like the fact that they have answered that because they realized that. Well, they just came up with a Rapid Strike kit. Now, of course, Rapid Strike has always looked sniper. It's a triangle down here. It's got the big bipod there. It's always like, I looked at it and I remember looking at the firing system going, damn, I wish I had a better firing system. But now it does. And so they came out with a kit, works with your stock PT, but it has the upgrade spring, the dart gate, the barrel, and the pusher. And they came up with a kit for the Raptor Strike. And shoots like 140 feet per second. That's not bad. I gotta say, this is probably maybe a good alternative to the Long Strike kit. Let me tell you why. First off, Modulus Long Strike was like $70. It was a lot of money. If you have the normal Long Strike, I know I have one somewhere around, but it's like most people don't have those, and it just. Yeah, but you see, a lot of people have Raptor Strikes. You can find one of these for cheap, maybe $30. And in my opinion, it was the update to the Long Strike. It was just AccuStrike, which of course everybody knows AccuStrike is. You want real accuracy? Go Ultra Match, baby. That's the way to go. But, nonetheless, yeah, and to make this useful is pretty cool. And they finally figured it out. And I remember looking at, like, Orange Mod Works and going like, oh, it's just the same kind of kit. It's not that hard. You just have to adapt a few things. And for a while, they didn't. After the Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3 Retaliator Unleashed Solid kit, they just didn't, you know what I mean? But I can see AK Blaster Mods answering that call and seeing that role and taking it. So this is really exciting for me that AK Blaster Mods sees that. And yes, they're worker parts, but they also make things to kind of tie it together. And that's the nice thing about AK Blaster Mods, is they kind of just tie everything together. And that's what I like about them. So I think they're one to watch. Watch out for Jet. They're scoundrels, just to let you know. But nonetheless, which they sell for them too, But nonetheless, yeah, it's there it is. They've answered the market with Raptor Strike. Would I shoot something like this? No, because I'm usually trying to go way above 200. I mean, I feel weak with 250 or even if this thing's firing 300. I'm like, oh, there's something wrong in there. I gotta take it apart and fix it. So at any rate, yeah. And speaking of jet blasters, something new from them. Well, not new. It's actually old. It's actually as old as several memos that I had sent them to do the original Alpha kit out of this kind of construction. And some conversations I had about Bradley Phillips that they really should do it like this. But I guess they're answering the call now with the Alpha version 2. Is it enough to actually buy it? So here it is. Here's the Alpha LS, the version 2. Clear tube. Hopefully it doesn't crack like the Cedar one. But I don't think so, because the Cedar one has a problem with the geometry and how they did the sled and how well, I'm not even going to say how to fix it because they're not paying my wage. But let's just say I can see why the one on the Cedar breaks, because it's just clear brittle plastic and there's a leverage problem in there caused by something they do with their parts that other rep people don't. But anywho, so I don't think that's going to happen with this. Basically, this is what it should have been. Should have been made out of tough plastics. Like I said, polycarb, or plunge head on a nylon. And when I mean nylon, I'm not talking nylon like, they made the original sleds nylon. No, because there's different kinds of nylon. There's like the kind that Hang uses, which is like industrial tan nylon. And then there's that crappy black nylon. Well, on this, they don't even do that. They make the sled out of polycarbonate. And they put this little rib here, which of course that rib wasn't originally put there because, hey, the Zeus one didn't have that. Why should we have that on there? Well, now they did it, which is also a smart move. And the catch looks white. Now, I don't know if, last I heard they were going to use polycarbonate. Maybe they're using Delrin. I don't know. Or acetal. Okay, I don't know. But that's good news, too, because on my number 2 long shot, I use a Delrin catch. and it has never broken. And I put it on several long shots, and they still have it. I've had that thing for years. So it doesn't break, okay? Which is really cool. And also the fact that the mounting of the head is better. Is it going to be better? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it does with the tests. As you know, with anything that's injection molded or made, it can be finicky. The original Alpha suffered from really just being the wrong material. The production manager being a guy who had never done Nerf before. He was a guy who, before that job, made bumps. Brilliant guy. And when he resigned from that company, he actually knew a lot about Nerf. And now he designs the Stuka kit. So if you want to give the Stuka kit a look at it. Because this was my pal in Singapore that I actually taught a lot about Nerf. And I actually liked him very, very much. Alan, you know. But he didn't realize the demands of the Nerfer. Okay, the pusher often broke. The sled was really flimsy, and the catch, I've shattered like 3 of those catches. Okay, I finally, on my number 2 long shot, which is also an Alpha kit, but it's sledless Alpha because my pusher broke and I made it fiberglass instead. It's Delrin, so that's a good move. But again, this is all chit chat that I had with other people, and now they're doing it. Or when I had meetings with the guy who owned Jet and everybody else, I said, no, it needs to be a tougher material. Well, you know, there's the Alpha kit. This, you know, it's going to be now upgraded to the Omega kit and everything else. And that's back when these were supposed to be interchangeable in metal parts. But we all saw what happened with the actual Omega kit. It actually is a totally different kit. But that was the original idea, was to upgrade to stronger metal parts. Well, this is an upgrade more to polycarb. It looks like they have a lot of their stress parts a little more reinforced. I'm hoping it can take 18.5. If it could take 18.5 and do it well, and it doesn't have the small dump of the Omega, which is only 8 millimeters, put in mind that's better than the Worker one. That's better than Artifact, but still smaller than 9.5, which the original Alpha was 9.952 millimeters. I made it that way on purpose because I wanted it to have the airflow. That's why I had the idea of doing that, okay? But I don't know. Is there too much of a bad taste in the mouth for people to really go for it? I don't think their pre-sales were all that good. A lot of people are like, yeah, let's had kind of a wait and see approach for it to get on the market. Also, this had been talked about since last year. It's just like the CETA where it took so long to develop and finalize, and it's just like, I mean, in 2017 they had the CETA nearly 95% done, and we didn't see the CETA to win. I mean, it came out last May. It took like 9 months after that, and then there were still problems, okay? So this, I mean, think about it. The kit's already pretty much done. It's already pretty much there. Still, you know, it's like all this time. This is like 2 years after the original Alpha kit was put out. 2 whole years. That's a long time to make an improved Alpha kit. And I don't feel besmirched at all by it because a lot of these were my suggestions to begin with. The only thing that wasn't was the polycarb sled. I would have probably gone glass-filled nylon, but same thing. Strong, stiff sled rather than this flimsy sled that seems to resemble one of those Gumby dolls for some reason. You know. And so we'll have to see. But, you know, between Worker and Jet and Explorer, yeah. I hope somebody comes along that pretty much just throws them. And I'm hoping somebody like Gavin or Nerf EZE does, because they seem to be founded on much better principles of modding and sales and customer satisfaction. That's just me, you know. Hang makes some good stuff, but he's just got so much pride. Worker makes some good stuff, but they're just, you know what I mean? They steal from people. Somebody comes up with this, and that's, oh, it's influence now. You stole the fucking idea, assholes. And Jet is, well, Jet. And that's why when we see somebody like Dotson Pro make a blaster, we hope that we give them all the support we want, because we want them to do better. And we see somebody new, we want them to do better. This is why a lot of people, because people are hungry for a better company. They really are. They're really hungry for a better company to deal with. And all you got to do is basically have the money, have the products, have the designers, and be there. And I'm pretty sure these guys would be out of business in 2 fucking seconds. Simply because, right, doesn't matter how good their product is. If they're scoundrels like Worker and Jet and prideful like Explorer, well, there you have it. I mean, that's what it is. I know it's a chrono barrel, but it's full-length dots. But behold the power of a Hillman 62 and a brass string pipe as your plunger tube. This is what Jacob Kelmer did with, this is what he did with a Retaliator. 251 feet per second. Wow. Now, of course, you see all these people with CETAs, and you see all these people with prophecies, and you see people with dots and pros, but let's just not forget, okay, that your normal Retaliator can do it. It can do it. This one did 230 feet per second. It can do it. You just have to have the patience and the know-how and the thought process to do it. You can make something that's a kit and do it. The Prophecy Killer, the Chronomag, same thing. You know, now inspiring such great designs like one Nerf EZE made. You know, good design. Oh, come on, you. Yeah, and making some really killer stuff. You know, I mean, this can do 300 feet per second. You know, one of the reasons I'm not into Retaliators as much is it doesn't give me that range. It gives me that range for the lower FPS wars, but I don't like the lower FPS wars. It doesn't give me the range for the higher FPS wars, because this is like the ceiling for a Retaliator, pretty much. Where, for this is just where a long shot begins to live, it's 250 feet per second. But it's still really good to see somebody actually do that. Actually build a Retaliator that can do it. And I'm really, really glad to see that, you know, the 250. I know I am working on this. I'm going to probably do plunger tube. He's also going through a whole foot of 1730 seconds to do that, because he's got the larger inner diameter tube. Yeah, so it's going to give you some cues to make Red October a little better. I was doing 230. I was using a Baron tube, which was 35 millimeters. I'm going to up it, and I think I'm going to do good. And I'm going to put a pretty good Merlin on it, too. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, you can do it. I just wanted you guys to see you can do it. You're not stuck in a world of CETA and Prophecy and Dark Zone Pro. No. You can go back to the old Mac and do it. You don't even need a Crimson Strike one either. You can get a yellow one and do the same thing. But that 62 Hillman spring, brand new one, kicks ass. They really do. So, Luchasaur is big into it. The new Fortnite Desert Eagle-ish pistol is starting to see some mods, some really cool stuff. One thing he told us was that the plunger tube, halfway it tapers. It doesn't taper like the last eighth of an inch or last quarter of an inch, like a Chronos tapers the last eighth of an inch. But that's okay, because you got that big plunger pad, so it never really hits it. This thing is like half of it. So your better alternative is actually, and I like this because you know how much I like long shot tubes and blasters. Oh yes, I do. Yeah, I'm still retaping that. I gotta work on that. Long shot tube. Long shot tube. Oh yeah. Look at that spring rust right there. That just begs to be fiberglass. And wow, yeah, so I'm going to get my hands on one when I see one in the store. And you better believe I'm going to take it to town. I'm going to take it to the limit. But, you know, Luchasaur already working on this stuff, man. Already on it, man. He is already just working on the system. And the catch looks like it's strong enough to take some real weight. So we'll have to see. Am I going to throw some real weight on this? Yeah, but I have to think of a plan of attack. And not only that, I got to find one of these fucking things in the store. But he did give us a 411. Yes, it's a big tube, but it tapers down right in the middle of it, and that sucks. Does that ever suck? It sucks, you know. But I think it's really good work. He put a hopper on it, which is really cool, and he was able to put a CBZ coupler right here. I'm thinking you can even go even better on this. I think you can even do more. I think there is some room on this blaster, and even though it's a pin hook blaster, and that might influence how much weight you're able to throw in it, because it might break. You might be able to reinforce it some. I usually don't like internal prime pistols. I like ones that are external prime. The exceptions, of course, being like the Chronos, because in reality it is like external prime. It's just that your external prime is dictated by this handle being like your bolt sled, pretty much, and this being pusher based. So this is why a Chronos is kind of an exception to the rule. But yeah, But for the most part, I like external prime. And the Kronos lets people that like external prime actually still use draw handle if they want and go mag-fed. It's a really great invention. But I think you can probably glass this, or even better yet, you can probably make a shaft that goes all the way back here and just do that. Yes, that would look dorky, but you could probably throw some pretty good spring loads. I'm talking like 28K, 30K, probably. I mean, there's white acetal plastic here, and that you could probably do that if you wanted to. But for your normal 16K, 14K stuff, your normal K26 stuff, you can pretty much stick with this. But he's really getting really good on this. I will build one, and it will be a monster, I promise. Alexander Chauncey, he posted this on Death by Nerf Blaster. And the first thing I thought of was like Dawn of the Dead, Chainsaw Hands. When you go with Chainsaw Hands, yeah, you got it. So this guy's got a prosthetic Nerf Blaster, a frickin' Swarm Flyer. He can just go, teach and go, I don't like you, you're talking too much in class. And he's like, oh, fuck you, teach. Like fucking one of those anime things. Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. Dude, but look at this. This is so cool. Like, it's not cool to have to wear a prosthetic arm, I understand. But cool to have to wear a prosthetic arm and get to wear a prosthetic Nerf blaster. Now that is rad. That's like taking a negative and turning it positive, and I really like that. Yeah, so I know I should probably take my meds, but you know what I'm going to do? I think we're going to go execute my meds. What do you think? So, for today's Wonton Destruction, we're going to take Big Blue, 28 kilograms, and we're going to, well, actually I should take the, oh, I do have 300. I just left 3 of them in the blaster, so I do still have 300 of these darts. Okay. And we're going to throw an FNJ through. As a matter of fact, that might be a little too... Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah. We're going to throw an FNJ through here, and we're going to destroy that bottle. Or we're going to do our best to destroy it. Okay? And why? Because it's just really fun being psychotic. And so well, yeah. So, you guys ready? You ready? Keep your eye on the jar. Keep your eye on the jar. Ready? Actually, I should put this back. I don't want to hit the computer. Keep your eye on the jar. Oh, that was great. Hold on a second. How does it look? What does it look like? I just hit this with an 8K. Look at that. We have the FEJ through here. And I just freaking... Oh, the LCD's intact. I'm in good shape. Oh, yeah. I had to kind of match Alan Torbino's Wonton Destruction because after the meet we were hanging out at his house and he was just, you know how it gets when you're shooting blasters around and you just kind of take it just a little too far. Oh yeah. So he had his daughter's backpack, right? And was sitting on a chair, and he decided to take out little Hello Kitty's little eye out, and it ended up like this. Okay, guys. So we have ourselves a little casualty. You see, this was sitting way over on that chair over there, and Alan just decided to see how accurate that was, and he accidentally shot aiming for the eye, and I didn't cause it this time. This time the drama wasn't caused by me. He shot a worker dart.
Which would have gone through if it wasn't for the lunch.
Yeah, the lunchbox inside of it. But this is like his daughter's favorite backpack that they want to make her get rid of, but it's so junky and old, but she never will.
Well, now we've got the new backpack.
Now you got a reason, yeah. You gotta. I'm sorry, honey. You can always,
a 50 cal sized hole in your old backpack.
you can always blame it on me. Chris did it. It's Chris's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris did it. I mean, I always get. I can cover people. I always get blamed for stuff anyway, but. Good times with Cartaya and Alan Torbino. Oh gosh, what are we going to wreck next? What do you want to wreck next?
Let's hope nothing else in the house.
Outside the house, other people's stuff. Oh yes, We'll have our fun on other people's expense, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so at any rate, it's Chris Cartaya saying, "Don't you go changing, or I'll find you." And I'll send Alan to shoot at you, and he's pretty accurate. I mean, nothing has iron sights. It's a Zeus.
Yep.
Oh wow! It's got a monkey mouse barrel, a mega kit. Yeah, pretty nice.
With a Merlin.
With a Merlin, a real Merlin, an actual prototype Merlin. That's right.
Yep.
The actual real deal. What Jet should have made and never made because they're just too chicken shit to do. That's right. So let's see here. Well, anyway, finish him. Oh shit! Oh, calm down, Chris. Calm down. Oh, just blew it to shreds, man. That bottle of pills is toast. Peace out.